Good morning, it's Kevin Rosine, technical agronomist for Channel Seed in Illinois, coming to you today from our Roanoke Tech Development site. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to them for thank you very much for being able and willing to put out plots for us. I'm going to do a couple videos here after this to walk through some of the soybean and corn plots that are here for future videos sent out to you guys. But at first, I really wanted to relay to you guys we are doing an open house here at the Roanoke farm here on August 22nd from 9 to 1. And we're inviting everybody who it's open to the public, so anybody who wants to come, we'll have lunch available. We'll have a lot of industry experts for different topics, whether that's corn, soybeans, traits, crop protection. We'll have a lot of experts here talking about our new products, talking about how we can help our farmers grow more and produce more so we can capitalize as much profit as we can off of our acre. So I invite every single one of you, make sure you invite your customers as well. It's open to the public, so don't hesitate to reach out. We can send if you haven't gotten it yet, we can send the invite to you, and you can invite all of your customers to come and let Bayer treat them to a day of learning and food. And also I'll be available to walk people through the plots here. So if you want to bring a customer group, you want to do a one-on-one discussion on products that are here, then I'll be there for you guys, and we can do that as well. So if you're not busy on August 22nd, really encourage you guys to come down and visit us here at the Roanoke Research Farm. All right, with that, moving into a crop progress update, just what I'm seeing across the territory. Starting with corn here. So far, I've been very pleased with what I've seen with the corn crop. Pollination has gone well. Doesn't think we're having a lot of issues right now. I have noticed in some of the plots, maybe some RMs might have pollinated a little better than others. Seeing a little bit of tip back in some of our later RM products. Not enough that I'm worried about it now. I still think we have enough time to, if we catch the right rains, we have the good weather, that everything will still fill out okay, and we'll have good test weight, good grain weight, and we'll have some really good to above average yields. I'm really glad to be wrong on what I've been concerned about over the last 2 or 3 weeks with tar spot and disease progression. Right now, the fields I've been in, I'm not saying everything's perfect, but I can find tar spot in a lot of fields, in most fields, honestly. But it's at such a low severity rate right now that I'm not concerned about it. It's definitely not enough to warrant having a big discussion on whether we should put a second application of fungicides on, which obviously be a very hard discussion, very hard trigger to pull with the current commodity prices and guys trying to find any way they can cut a few dollars here and there. One thing I have been seeing, and it's not a huge issue, it's just something we haven't seen a lot of in the past, is a bacteria called bacterial leaf streak. It's something that, as we've talked to other agronomists from areas that have had to deal with this a little bit more than we have, it's just something that moves in. We pretty sure it's came in from all the storms that came across the Nebraska, Kansas area, blew it up and blew it into our area for this year. Doesn't, according to the other agronomists, it doesn't impact yield very much. It is a bacteria, so there's not much we can do for it right now, other than to know it's out there. So I'm not concerned about it. It's not something I'm worried about robbing yield from us. It's just something that's out there if you're out walking fields that you might come across. Other diseases that we're seeing right now, I mean, the weather over the next couple weeks looks like it might be pretty good for disease progression of the diseases that we've historically had to deal with in the past, whether that's gray leaf spot, northern corn leaf blight, any of those. I haven't seen them blow up big anywhere yet. I mean, they're out there, there's spots here and there, but it's nothing that is big, major issues that I've seen anywhere. So we're getting into that magical time where those guys that have sprayed 2 or 3 weeks ago was still the right decision. I do believe that was the right time to spray. I think that's part of the reason we've been able to hold tar spot off is because we did do a lot of those fungicide applications here a couple weeks ago. So I think that's helped keep disease package and the diseases beat back for us. And I do think we're set up for a good harvest on the corn side. Other than that, on the corn, I haven't seen a lot of other things other than a few diseases here and there. Rootworm pressures haven't been overly high from what I've seen, at least so far. So I think we're doing good on that front right now. So I do think moving into harvest here in the next 3 to 4 to 6 weeks, we have a good chance for a good crop. As far as crop progress, I have seen some earlier products, the 104, 5, 6 day line up there along the I-80 corridor, starting to move into the dent. I mean, we're not at full dent yet, so we are getting closer and closer every day. So the end is in sight, getting closer to harvest. All right, moving into a soybean update. Up until now, I think our soybeans have looked really good. I think pod set's gone really well. Haven't lost many flowers. Had a lot of good moisture over the last few weeks to keep that progressing and moving forward the way we want it to. With all that moisture does come some potential for some diseases we need to keep an eye out for. I have started seeing a few fields here and there with white mold starting to move in. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. A lot of our fungicides that we put on here at R3 will help keep that under control a little bit. A lot of the fungicides that we use for plant health use and for general disease use in the soybeans at R3, I wouldn't say are the strongest in white mold suppression, but we deal with white mold in such an infrequent basis. It's not worth spending the extra money and spraying at R1 and R3 to help control white mold, because it is something that isn't, I'm not going to say it's not a yield robber for us in Illinois, but it's not a huge issue, widespread issues that we see in a lot of areas. If you are in an area that does see quite a bit of white mold, you want to have those discussions on what we need to do to help control that moving into the future. Please reach out to myself or any of your channel agronomists. We'd be glad to talk with you on what your options are on how to control the white mold as it moves in. Other diseases I've started seeing some SDS, which I think we all know is something that moves in early season, and it's something that there's really nothing we can do now about it other than to know it's out there and to understand that we have it in our fields, and maybe we need to make some management decisions for next year to help, or for the next soybean crop that goes in that field, to see whether that's try to find a variety that handles SDS better. Maybe pull some SCN, soybean cyst nematode samples this fall to see what kind of levels those are, because we tend to see where there's a higher soybean cyst nematode level in the field. That's a way for SDS to move into our plant earlier in the season. So figuring out a way we can manage the SCN a little better, whether that's running a high rate of Alivo, which I do think is still one of the best products we have out there, as long as we're running the high rate to help control SCN and SDS moving into the plant, or whether if it's a really high level field that has a lot of eggs in it when we pull those soil samples, maybe we think about in a couple years moving into a Peking variety. That way we get a little different mode of action against those SCN eggs and those nematodes when they come out, so they get a little bit different flavor of control than what we've been using in the past. Don't hesitate to reach out to any of your channel agronomists. We'd be glad to talk through the issues with you, SDS, white mold, and help you figure out what your opportunities are moving forward into the future and how to control those issues. So crop progress for soybeans, everything's looking like it's moving into that full pod stage. Really not a lot we can do now as far as spraying fungicides or spraying insecticides. I think all of our herbicides are basically off-label now. That'll control many or all weeds. There's a couple options that you could spray for weeds, but they really really struggle with killing water hemp, which is what a lot of people are fighting right now in their fields. Um, I guess yield potential on the soybeans I think are still high. It just depends on if we're set up to help control some of these diseases that we just talked about. White mold is going to be a hard one to fight against, just because of the timing of everything. So I think most areas aren't going to have to deal with white mold just because of where it's at, and but SDS is one that still could hurt our yields a little bit as we move forward. I just think as we start moving farther and further into August, some of these fields that have looked great all season might not look as good as it did here a few weeks ago, but I still don't think the yield impact's going to be huge on it. So it's definitely one that keep an eye on it. I'd be glad to come walk fields and look through it with you guys and see what we're seeing. With that, I think that's the update for this week. I appreciate all you guys and everything you've done. Keep calling, keep texting. I like getting pictures and updates from areas especially of ones I might not have been to as much. Keep me informed what's going on. We're here to support you guys. And once again, don't hesitate if you're not busy on August 22nd. Please come out to the Roanoke Field Day. We'd be glad to have you, glad to host you, and learn some good information about Bayer products and agronomics. Get a free lunch from the company, and maybe we can take some time to talk about some channel products moving into the 2025 sales season. So everybody have a great week, and reach out to us if you need anything. Thank you.